One of the more ridiculous claims against Islam is that Islam allows child soldiers, or it allows underage, kids or children, um, boys to be fought in war. Now is that claim true that Islam allows, child soldiers and sending young boys off to war? No, that is a completely, utterly ridiculous claim, because not only does the Hadith not allow it, but the Quran doesn't allow that either. We read in the Quran, chapter 9, verse 91, and again, I'll be reading from the study Quran. The Quran, chapter 9, verse um, 91. Let me just get to the place. Let's find the verse. It says, and again, I'm reading from the Quran, chapter 9, verse 91. It says, "No blame is there upon the weak, nor upon the sick, nor those who find nothing to spend if they are sincere toward God and His Messenger. There is no argument against the victorious, and God is forgiving, merciful." Again, I'm reading from the Quran, chapter 9, verse 91. So, what is this? What is this verse implying? What is this verse saying? This verse is saying that there's no that it's not a requirement for a child to go into war or go into physical jihad, or physical combat, because the verse is saying that the obligation is only on those who are able to do so, and women and children are therefore not required to take part in combat, because the Quran says there is no blame in the weak, nor in the sick, nor in those who do not find what they should spend. Quran chapter 9, verse 91. So basically, this verse is saying that the weak, the weak, who would be women and children, shouldn't go off to fight in wars, because they're not physically able to do so. And not only that, but if you read, according to uh, Imam Shafi, who is the founder of the Shafi school of law, he believes that children are not in a position to fight. And I'll be posting all the references below. Ibn Rashad, says that the collective obligation lies with the free men and adults for jihad, and also combat or fighting in war is not a requirement for the child. That's what the Hanafi jurist Al Maghradini says. And again, keep in mind there are four schools of Islamic law: Hanbali, Hanafi, Shafi, Maliki. And Ibn Hazm says that jihad is not an obligation for the woman, for those who have for those who have not come of age, which is little kids, etc., which is children, etc. And again, I'll be leaving all the references below. And not only that, but there's a hadith that proves that um, men have to be physically and mentally fit for going into war. Now, keep in mind when I say going into war in Islam, war is either justified or not justified. In the Quran, chapter 2, verse 190, it says, "Fight those who fight you, but do not transgress, because God doesn't love the transgressors." So this verse was not abrogated by the Quran, chapter 9. There's no evidence for that. So in Islam, war is either justified or non-justified. It's either self-defensive measures, or either you fight in self-defense or you don't fight at all. That's what the Quran, or that's what Islamic theology states. And I think America would agree. America would fight in self-defense, and it wouldn't just let people just come in and invade. The country. I think most Americans would agree with me that's logical behavior, right? Same thing with the Quran. The Quran is permitting fighting only in self-defensive measures. Even if you read the Quran chapter 9, if you read the circumstance of revelation, a concept known in Arabic as nazul, ashab al nazul, it was talking about, the Quran chapter 9 was talking about the pagans attacking the Muslims and the Romans attacking the Muslims. That's why that's why the Quran chapter 9 was revealed as self-defensive measures. But anyways, getting back to the whole child soldiers or or Islam allowing children to go into war or young boys to go into war, that's completely false, because the Quran says follow the Prophet Muhammad. And according to authentic Hadith and Sunan Al-Nasai 3431, English reference of volume 4, book 27, Hadith 3461, it was narrated from Ibn Umar that he presented himself to the Messenger of Allah on the day of Uhud when he was 14 years old, but he did not permit him to join the army. He presented himself on the day of Al-Qanad when he was 15 years old, and he permitted him to join the army. So basically, Ibn Umar was too young to fight in the day of Uhud, in the Battle of Uhud. And then a year later, when he was physically and mentally fit for, to fight in the war, the Prophet Muhammad allowed him to join the army. So basically, this hadith is proof that that children cannot be sent into war in Islam. They have to be physically and mentally fit for war. So that's the whole concept behind that. So ISIS, if they're recruiting young boys or whatever, they're not really, because we know boys now are not physically and mentally fit to go fight in war. They have to be physically and mentally fit for it. Boys don't reach, physical and mental maturity until I think their 30s, or I think a little bit later than that. I think in their 30s, I want to say 30 years old or 31 years old. There was a scientific study where they say that men reach physical and mental maturity by the time they're 30, and by the time of 40, they reach the full capacity of their mental capacity. So they reach mental maturity at the age of 40, and they reach mental and physical. They go to their peak of mental and physical maturity in their 30s. So regardless, Islam doesn't allow child soldiers going off to war, etc., etc. Now that's completely disallowed in Islam. If there's any critic like Robert Spencer and the Master who are bringing up this ridiculous claim, they don't know anything about. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these critics against Islam, like Robert Spencer, the Master, they don't know anything about Islamic law. They don't know the language. They don't know what the four schools of Islamic thought say, etc., etc. They don't know anything about Islam, so they should seriously just stop talking about it, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So this refutes that claim of child soldiers. Stay tuned, a lot more videos are up ahead.